Today, I want to talk about a film called Let the Right One In, directed by Thomas Alfredson. This film is about the friendship between a shy adolescent tormented by bullies and a 12-year-old vampire who survives on the blood of residents of a small Swedish town. The first thing to note is that this film was shot by Hoyte van Hoytema. And if you don't know that name, it's making the rounds as of late because not only did he shoot Oppenheimer, but he has shot a lot of other Christopher Nolan films. The setting definitely plays a part within this film. It's cold, barren, desolate, not much is going on, and for that reason, it's a little bit more believable that we have a vampire on the loose attacking people at whim. The desaturated color palette fits the tone of this film. Because you're dealing with a Swedish vampire in the woods, the grayish colors fit both the character and the location of this film. Another visual thing to look for within this film is the use of hands as a motif. We see Oscar put his hand out towards the frosted window in the beginning of the film. We see him mirror Ely's hands when they're separated by a glass door, and then towards the end of the film, as if it's a palindrome, we see Oscar put his hand out towards the same frosted window. There's something about hands maybe being a symbol for his friendship with Ely, as well as the Morse code that Oscar teaches Ely. Oscar is shy and lusts for wanting to stand up for himself. It's evident with his knife that he carries with him at all times. In his private moments, he imagines what it's like to stab the bullies that torment him on a daily basis. In one instance, we have Ellie, who hasn't been revealed yet in the film. Her face is withheld from the audience, and all we see is her scolding her father for not delivering on the blood that he promised her. I found this move particularly interesting because it adds to a level of mystery behind Ellie. We're not sure at this point what she is or what she's capable of. All we know is that she's calling the shots when it comes to these demands for blood. Oscar is a child of divorce, and that accounts for his detached sense of love. And whether he knows it or not, he seeks that love from Ellie in the form of friendship. Oscar seems unable to stick up for himself, to assert himself from the bullying that he faces. Ellie gives him the strength and courage to face his fears. And in the same way, Ellie doesn't really want to reveal her true vampiric self to Oscar. So in this way, they both seek something out from one another. They both complement each other in these sort of strange ways. The fact that Oscar collects murder clippings from the newspaper, as well as the fact that he knows so much about the human anatomy given by his fact that he tells in the classroom earlier in the film, it says a lot about his character and how comfortable he grows towards Ellie, and not how he's not deterred by her seemingly monstrous features. Because Ely has lived for what seems to be an eternity, she is an arbiter of wisdom for Oscar as he deals with the woes of being a preteen. I find that there's a challenge within this film for us to empathize with Ellie, who is this sweet 12-year-old, but also happens to be a beast within that craves on blood. It's hard to empathize because of the fact that she's killing innocent bystanders within this small Swedish town. Yet that is the challenge that the film throws at us nevertheless, because on one hand, yes, we do feel for the fact that she has this plight that she can't control, that she is sort of cast on her for eternity, but at the same time, innocent lives are taken because of her plight. So it's a very push-pull situation. The one detail I will note within this film that is important to point out is that if you are the squeamish type, this one may not be for you, because this film certainly doesn't hold back in exposing the most gruesome aspects of the human body. As much as Ely is fond of Oscar and wants to be closer with him, she also has to protect herself from him because of her rabid instincts as a vampire. In this film, you see two instances of that. One being when Oscar cuts his hand open and offers it to Ely as a way to form a blood pact. She withdraws and tells him to scurry off because of her penchant for sucking blood. Another instance of this is when she goes to his apartment and requires Oscar to give her permission to enter, and he jokingly says, "Well, what if I don't?" And as she enters, she just convulses into blood. In that moment, before she does combust into blood, she just has this, sadness in her face because she knows that, she is just afflicted with this plight. Even though none of us are vampires, we can still relate to the idea of feeling shame when it comes to hiding a part of ourselves from others. And in this case, Ellie feels an incredible amount of shame with Oscar in the fact that she hides this gruesome detail about herself. There are certain moments that I feel that didn't really add to the film as a whole. One of them being Oscar's dad and his friend drinking in front of Oscar at their kitchen table. To me, the scene felt empty and didn't really add much value to the film as a whole. Another scene that I felt that could have been cut is when the woman that gets bitten by Ely is swarmed by a whole army of cats. The scene to me felt far-fetched, didn't really need to be there, and the fact that all the cats had this low-grade CGI to them just kind of took me out of the film, to be quite honest. And it felt far-fetched in a way that didn't relate to the rest of the film, even though in the film it certainly had its moments that were pretty jarring. There's a moment when the woman who gets bitten by Ely says while on a hospital bed that she has no reason to live, is very telling about the plight that Ely lives with, in the sense that she might feel some sort of dread with her plight in the fact that she can only survive off the blood of other people. So what does the title of this film refer to? In some ways, I feel that it refers to the permission that Ely requires from people to enter their areas, but I don't know exactly the reasoning behind that or how that ties in. But another part of me feels that the title refers to the friendship between Oscar and Ely. The fact that Oscar lets Ely into his life, and that she is, by some definition, right, despite her penchant for human blood. This is more of a random tidbit, but I feel like as a New Yorker, I can't ignore the openness displayed by the Swedes for anyone that has a plea for help. I feel as a New Yorker, you're conditioned to ignore anyone's pleas for help simply because of the frequency in which we encounter it. Because the city is ginormous, and on a daily basis, especially if you're going into Manhattan, you're encountering random homeless people or people that are struggling to get by, and we can't help everybody, so our only option or only recourse is to just simply move past them, and to a point where we just are numb towards anybody who really does need help. It's a sad truth, but it's a reality I feel that we encounter daily. Well, that's all for me. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Later.